What's going on? I'm Sam, and today I'm going to try making a couple extra dollars with computers. I have a whole bunch of old computers I need to fix up and sell, along with some parts, and I also lined up a few repair jobs, so I'm on the way to this first one. I just pulled up at Peter's Parents Restaurants, Tix Thai Express, and my first order of business is going to be fixing their computer. Kind of. I'm actually just going to be modifying the POS system and adjusting the drink prices.
Too young? Yeah. So young? Thai shrimp cakes, a tom yum, and a cup. Yeah. Let me pack one. Here, like it. Okay. Done. Yeah. This one is not.
I got all the menu changes made for her, and that wasn't too bad at all. And then I just went home to edit my video, and I had so much trouble uploading this video. It was the story about how I got Griffin. I got it out way later than I meant to. Technically, I uploaded it like 15 minutes into the next day, so it's already tomorrow, but I'm at work now and I'm ready to get some stuff done. I was moving the forklift out to help unload all these computers from my car, and I ended up getting it stuck. The axle's not able to flex as much as it should with these bigger tires that I just had put on it. The tire's not able to go up far enough because it's hitting one of the upper control arms, so one of the front tires is completely off the ground. Since it has a differential, this one tire is spinning, so now it's just kind of stuck here, and I gotta figure out how to get it down. If I can get enough weight on this front wheel. So that was not exactly the correct way to do it, but it's not stuck anymore. So I'm gonna get all these computers in here. I've been wanting to sell these for a while, and I didn't realize quite how many they were until I started packing them up. Granted, one or two of these are empty cases, and they're all pretty old, but I feel like I have a few more computers than I should have. So without waiting any longer, I'm gonna unload these things, and you can see just how many I have. And I can't forget, I gotta sell Morgan's old computer too. I'm just gonna go through this giant stack of computers one by one. I'm gonna figure out what they have in them, list them for sale, and if there's something wrong with them, I'll write it down, figure out what I need to go get. That way, I'll have a list of what I need. I can run to Micro Center, get the missing parts, and fix them all up. So I'll start with this first one, which is an all-in-one, and it's the one that I'm getting paid to fix. I just plugged it in and it looks like it's going to be super easy. It looks like it just has a bad hard drive. I can test that real quick with a good hard drive just to make sure before buying a new hard drive for nothing. It could technically be a few other things, but all my money would be on a hard drive because that's very common for this Air. This next one's Morgan's old computer. I'm selling it for her, but I can't remember what processor's in it. So I'm going to plug it in, put a different hard drive in it, make sure it fires up, write down the specs, and list it for sale. So I just have this hooked up to a 32 gigabyte test hard drive that I use for making sure PCs work. This is really not quite as powerful as I remember. It was a Christmas gift I gave to her like 5 years ago maybe. It has a GTX 950 in it, which is super outdated. A 750 watt bronze power supply that's not too bad at all. An old Gigabyte motherboard, which was the cheapest one at the time, so that probably didn't hold up too good. And the AMD FX 6300, which is the 3.5 gigahertz 6-core processor, which wasn't too bad at the time, but even then it was one of the lower ones, like the lowest 6-core you could get. And it really hasn't aged well at all, where there's so many more powerful things than this. And it has 16 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, which might be the most expensive thing on here right now. But what I'll do is I'll go buy a hard drive for this thing, put a new copy of Windows on it, then I'll see what they're selling for with this setup and sell it for a similar price point, see if I can sell it. And this is my next computer. It has this cool green tower that I bought only because of the case. I think it was $40 like 2 or 3 years ago, and I never even ended up doing anything with it. But as far as I know, it's a functioning media server, I believe is what he used it for. But for the first time since I bought it, I'm going to turn it on and see if it works or not. He said it did, so I would expect it would at least do something. But let's find out. That's a big case. I wasn't actually completely sure how to turn this on, and then I realized with this lock it has a door here. So, looks like it works. This thing is pretty old. It has a serial port on the motherboard, so I assume it's probably DDR2. Oh no, it's DDR3. The motherboard doesn't look that bad. Huh. Let's see what happens. I unplugged the hard drive that was in it and plugged my test hard drive in just to see what would happen. It's not booting up. I think this is going to be one of those things that I sell it just for the case, like how I bought it, or I look up the motherboard and components and see how much those go for, part it out, and then sell the case locally. I do really like this case though. Whoa, I just looked up this motherboard and they were selling for like $250 to $450 each online, which is common to see for old stuff. I figured it was just the wrong price, but even on eBay, they're selling for like $75. So I might have made my money just with this motherboard if I'm able to find a buyer. So this next one is not a complete computer. It looks like it has at least the power supply in it, so I'll open it up and take a look. I don't even know where I got this. Just a 300 watt power supply, so that's nothing too special. Kind of older case. So I'll just be selling this as is, probably with the power supply. These next ones should just be empty cases that are missing one part. I had bought them to repair a friend's computer, and it ended up breaking twice. I'll open the boxes, make sure they're what I think they are, and if they are, I'll just sell them as is, which would be a case with a broken USB and audio jack. Okay, yeah, so both of them have these audio jacks and USB. It's like headphone and mic. These are both broken. I've tried, I think it was this one, replacing the audio jack and the USB with no luck. So I think I'm just going to reinstall these in the cases, sell them with a note that says that these ports don't work anymore, and see if I can get maybe 20 bucks each or so. I think they're like 45 or 50 brand new. If I can find the spare connectors that I bought to replace these, I might try replacing them one more time. I think I bought this next one from Wright State, which is where I went to college. I probably paid about $15 for it, and it should work. I think they might have sold them without the hard drive, but I'll plug it in and find out. Windows XP with an Intel Core 2 Duo. I actually don't know if I bought anything this old, so it could easily be from somewhere else. Woo, I smell burning. Oh, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do anything else with that because it does not smell good. I don't want to fry my monitor. Ooh, man. Yeah, this is not worth messing with. It's way too old. Man, that was a really bad burnt ESC smell. The only plug I had plugged into it was the power cord. So for being how old it is, I'm not even going to mess with it. I'll just probably donate it to Goodwill and write on it like, burning smell does not work. Even if I fixed it up, it's not worth the time or energy. I doubt I could get $30 for it, even running. It's just way too old at this point. I have no idea where this computer came from, but let's see what happens. Okay, this one's turning on alright. It even has a hard drive. I think I know where this came from now. So I finally remembered where this machine came from. It was given to Peter to use as a shop computer. So I'm going to talk to him and see what he wants to do with it. It's a lot nicer than the machine that's currently running the laser cutter. So we'll either keep it as an upgrade for the future, or we'll keep some of my older stuff and I'll sell this one for a profit. Because even though this one is still considered pretty old, it's a lot newer and nicer than what's needed to run that software. Where I like to have really old stuff like DDR2 electronics, but still running Windows 10 to operate that laser, because then it's just like a $25 or $50 computer instead of this, which is potentially a $125 computer. I looked at the specs again. Maybe it's only like a $75 computer. So maybe it should just wait for the shop. It's just so nice and well taken care of that I don't want it to turn into a laser computer where we have computers that have been really beat up that are perfect for shop computers. This is what I'm talking about. This is one of the original laser computers. When it stopped working, I fixed it and had thrown another computer on. When that stopped working, I threw this one back on. I think maybe the graphics card went out now. So there's another computer that's even newer that I threw on. So I don't even remember what computer is on there now, but I'm going to try turning this thing on and seeing what's wrong with it. So I'm getting nothing from the onboard graphics connection at all, which might mean there's something wrong with the motherboard outputting the display. So I have this old graphics card I'll throw in and see if I can get this to work. So that did not work. The only thing worth saving from this computer is probably the power supply, which looks like I had replaced it in the last few years. So I'll probably rip out the power supply and donate the rest to Goodwill. Maybe I could keep the CD drive or sell some of this for parts, but I don't think it's really going to be worth it. It does have 4 1GB sticks of DDR2 RAM, which is pretty much worthless. I had been trying to sell all these sticks of DDR2 RAM, and some of them are expensive sticks with no luck, like a Corsair gaming RAM. I think this is a computer that I picked up for the laser that for some reason quit working, but we'll try it anyway. Well, now I'm wondering if this was the killer for some of these old laser PCs. I couldn't get this computer to work with this graphics card or when I took it out, but when I started looking at this closer, this wire was pretty much melted to this connector, where when I peeled it away, you can see where some of the old wire shielding stuck to that plastic. And then these two parts of the wire actually melted together. There might be a little bit of a short in here, which may have damaged all these motherboards, and this could have been the problem why we were going through so many computers for a few months. I think we probably changed the computer like 4 or 5 times in 3 months. And this graphics card was rotating through most, if not all of those. So yeah, I might play with this a little more and see if there's actually a short in there. But now we're on to the last computer, and this was the computer that I bought for Linux. I haven't used it in a while. The last time I used it was for doing some custom PX4 coding, and since it's been sitting unused so long, I'm gonna sell it. So I actually don't remember this thing having liquid cooling, and I thought the motherboard was newer than it is. I don't know if this is the computer that I thought it was, and I know it sounds crazy because I have a lot of computers here, but I think I'm missing at least 2 or 3 of them, though there's a good possibility that I sold them without remembering. I thought the graphics card in this was a 740, but when I opened it, it was one of my 560 Ti's. I had 2 of them for SLI, and now I don't know where the other one went off to. I'm pretty sure I didn't sell it. I know I've said it before, but I have a lot of stuff, so it's good that I'm starting to get rid of at least some of it. But this one doesn't need anything. It's running fine, and all the components are pretty good for what it is. There's one more computer I want to look at tonight, and this is the one I was thinking of converting into the shop computer. It's a little dated, but it still has a Rampage 4 motherboard along with, I believe it had the Devil's Canyon for the CPU, like the Intel 3980 or something. It had the 3930K. So it was pretty good back then, and I think it can still hold its own now, though there are a lot of better things out there on the market. My other option is building a brand new computer for here, which I would love to do, but right now I'm pretty strapped on cash, so I'm not doing that. I got this thing for ridiculously cheap at the time. It came with the case you see, the HAF test bench, which is a giant case. It came with a 240mm water cooler, the Rampage 4 motherboard, the, what was it, 3930? The i7 3930K CPU. It came with the 850 watt power supply, and I think it's a gold power supply. I think it even came with a 1TB hard drive, but it did not come with a graphics card. Right now I just have a 960 in it because that's what I had laying around. When I was using it as my main PC, I had something better, but I ended up taking that out and I don't even know where that one went. And it came with 16 gigs of RAM. It's not the best RAM, but I never upgraded because I didn't need to. I think I paid like $350 for all this, which at the time was a steal because that's cheaper than I think the CPU or the motherboard were selling for. I don't think that included the PSU though. I think I came back and gave them like $75 or $100 for that PSU, which is very cheap for an 850 watt power supply. Yeah, it still works great. I just got to figure out if it's worth upgrading or selling. realized the outlets in my shop are pretty bad. So I've gone through all these computers and now I have a list of everything I need to get them all running. I'm going to call it a night here though because it's getting late and I want to get home. So in a couple days I'll end up going to Micro Center, getting the parts I need, and then fixing all these and listing them for sale. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I will see you in the next one. Hey buddy, it's time to go home. You ready? Let's go. Come on, bud.